Let's be real for a second. Are you sending out emails that just vanish? Making calls that nobody answers? If you feel like all your business outreach is just you shouting into the void, you are definitely not alone. But today, we're going to break down a system that's designed to change that entire dynamic. So let's jump right in.
So let's just start with this big, bold statement, because it's something a lot of us feel deep down, right? Modern outreach is broken. The old ways of connecting with people, they just don't seem to work like they used to. But the real question is, why? What's actually going wrong here?
Well, it turns out it's not just one single thing. It's actually a combination of three major problems that are all piling on top of each other, creating this massive wall between us and the people we're trying to reach.
Okay, let's break these down because they're super important. First, there's this trust collapse. I mean, think about it. People are just plain exhausted. They're bombarded with ads and cold emails all day long. Their guard is way, way up. Second, we have what's called invisible engagement. Sure, you might get some clicks or impressions, but what does that even mean? You have no idea if a real human being actually connected with what you sent. And finally, there's disconnected CSR, or corporate social responsibility. This is where companies do genuinely good things in the community, but that goodwill almost never translates into actual business growth. It's like these three things are in a vicious cycle.
This all sounds pretty bleak, right? But what if we stop trying to just get better at a broken game? What if you could just replace cold outreach completely? Imagine a way where you could get invited into a conversation instead of having to interrupt one.
And that's where this thing called the SDM engagement engine comes in. Now pay attention to the name here. It's not called a tactic or a campaign. It's an engine, something that's designed to run continuously and smoothly in the background, generating results.
Okay, so what is this thing really? Well, the definition here has two words that are absolutely crucial: trackable and trust. It's a system that creates a trust-based way to start new relationships, and you can actually track when that connection happens. This is all about knowing someone is interested, not just guessing.
And this is the part that's going to sound a little wild. The core of this entire engine, the little piece of magic that makes it all work, is a children's storybook. Seriously. Instead of starting a relationship by asking for something, you start by giving something valuable. A fun, positive experience for a family.
So you're probably wondering, okay, how on earth does a children's book turn into a business client? Well, it's not magic, it's a very deliberate mechanical process. There's a 5-step pathway, so let's walk through exactly how this works.
Okay, check out this flow. First, you share a story, but it has a unique, trackable code. This is so important. When someone downloads it, boom. Step 2, engagement is verified. You now know for a fact that they've interacted. Then, the story inspires a real offline family activity, which creates a positive memory. And from there, the most important part happens. A natural follow-up becomes possible. You're no longer making a cold call. You're calling to ask, hey, just wanted to see if your kids enjoyed the story. It's a completely different conversation.
And that right there, that's the whole magic trick. You're shifting your outreach from being an unwelcome interruption to a welcome invitation. You've already given them something valuable, so now they're open to hearing from you.
Okay, that all sounds great for building trust, but let's get down to brass tacks. How does that trust actually turn into clients? Well, the engine is designed with three really smart built-in advantages that make this conversion happen.
Advantage number 1 is all about timing. Because you can track the engagement, you know the exact moment to reach out. Right after they've had that positive experience with your gift. Your timing isn't random, it's perfect.
Second, and you guys, this one is huge, is the role reversal. Suddenly, you're not a salesperson. You're not the person trying to get something from them. You're the person who gave their family a fun activity. That dynamic shift is a game changer. All their natural defenses just melt away.
And number 3, this one is a secret weapon. Let's call it organizational access. You know how a sales pitch usually gets stopped by a gatekeeper? Well, what happens when you lead with an offer to support a community literacy program? It gets sent straight to HR, to leadership, to people you could never reach with a normal sales pitch. It opens doors.
All right, let's make this super practical. How would this actually look for someone in, say, the insurance industry? An industry that relies on trust, but can really struggle with that cold initial outreach.
Now, a really important thing to get here is that this isn't about throwing out everything you're already doing. You should think of this as an overlay. It's something you add on top of your existing work to make it all more effective and, frankly, a lot more human.
And this just lays it out so clearly. You're getting low response rates? Well, stop sending cold pitches and start sending a gift. Need to reconnect with a lead that's gone cold? This gives you a perfect, non-awkward reason to call. Trying to get your foot in the door with a school or a local company? Don't lead with an insurance pitch. Lead with a literacy program. It just solves the biggest, most annoying problems in that workflow.
So as we start to pull all this together, let's just zoom out for a second and look at the big core idea here, the fundamental shift in thinking that really makes this entire engine run.
And this right here, this is everything. For decades, marketing has been obsessed with one question: how do we get noticed? How do we scream louder than everyone else? The SDM engine asks a totally different and way more powerful question: how do we become welcome? The goal isn't to be a brief interruption. The goal is to become a trusted part of their world.
And that brings us to this final thought. A campaign is temporary. It starts, it runs, and then it ends. But infrastructure? That's permanent. It's the foundation you build everything else on. And when you shift your focus from just getting noticed to actually becoming welcome, you're not just running another campaign, you are building permanent, trust-based infrastructure for every relationship you'll ever have. And that really changes everything.